Is your finance team still leaning on legacy EPM systems to close the books? What's the cost of maintaining outdated EPM tools when your business needs speed and accuracy? Today, we're digging into the real risk of legacy EPM and how modern CFOs are migrating to cloud based systems that drive faster closes and cleaner numbers. Stick around. We'll break down the migration paths, key players like Oracle EPM and OneStream, and how ERP suites help enterprises get it done right.
Welcome to Not Your Grandpa's JD Edwards, a podcast helping you unlock what's next for your ERP and EPM environments. I'm Nate Bushield, and today we're tackling one of the biggest roadblocks to finance transformation, legacy systems like Hyperion. If you're a CFO or financial leader under pressure to accelerate close cycles, reduce Excel dependency, or clean up post-M&A complexity, this episode is for you. With me is Mike Pilato, leader of ERP Suites' new EPM services practice. Mike, welcome. And for the viewers out there that don't know you, can you share a little bit about your background and what led to launching this new EPM initiative?
Absolutely. And thanks for having me. I'm extremely honored to be part of today's podcast. I'm Mike Pilato, Vice President at ERP Suites, where I'm going to be leading the EPM and analytics practice. I bring 20 years in consulting, where I had leadership roles at PwC, Accenture, IBM, and Navisite, where I was delivering for complex solutions for the IT and finance organizations. And I'm extremely, excited to be on this journey with ERP Suites because my passion really lies with empowering CFOs to really trust their data, give them, insights that are going to be, leveraged to make critical strategic decisions, leveraging the top tier EPM solutions that are out there.
Yeah. And when you say top tier EPM solutions, could you maybe name a few of those just so our audience knows what we're talking about throughout this episode?
Yeah, 100%. The top ones that you're going to hear across the board is going to be, OneStream, Oracle's EPM. There's a legacy system called Hyperion. You have your Anaplan, you have your Planfuls. So we have a lot that we can offer because we're an agnostic organization that, once again, best fit what's for the business needs versus a software that's going to drive those decisions.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned Hyperion there, legacy system. That's something that you hear across the board when we're talking about JD Edwards or if we're talking about EPM systems and the different sides of that. But what's the real cost of staying on an EPM legacy system?
Oh, great question. The real cost isn't in the licensing or the maintenance where everyone would think. It's the hidden operation tasks that the business pays every month. And what I mean by that is, the manual efforts, the finance organization really worrying about getting the data into the systems versus analyzing them. So legacy EPMs, solutions, are slow decision-making, create manual, workarounds. And in the end, it actually erodes the confidence in the data as well as, the numbers to the leadership teams.
Right. So you talk about the numbers there, like they can't be trusted. What are maybe some signs that these CFOs or maybe even a VIP of finance should watch for that indicate that these numbers can't be trusted?
The big red flag is, when the same question is being answered differently by different people, as well as referencing different spreadsheets. When a CFO and you're meeting with leadership, they have to come into the meeting and start off and say, are the numbers final? Those are definitely red flags that are just, saying to the organization that it's not taking us where we need to be. We're questioning, and when we start to question our own ability to trust the data, the business is already evolved at that point.
Right. And how do issues maybe like long close cycles manual reconciliations and maybe even lack of trust in the numbers, how do those truly show up? I know you mentioned that maybe they walk in every day and say, are these numbers trustworthy or are they correct? But is there maybe a different way that you would see that in the day-to-day conversation?
Yeah, no, it shows up as friction everywhere. And what I mean by that, it's, when when you're expected to close the books in 3 to 5 days, but it's taking 8 to 12, puts pressure on not only the leadership, but on the people and the resources that are actually doing the work. And again, it takes away from, being analyzing the data versus, worrying about is the data in and et cetera. So these legacy EPM systems, don't get me wrong, they were great, for what it was in the past, but the business and the world has changed. So the op model, it does not fit these legacy systems anymore.
Right. So let's dive in a little bit deeper on that. Why are these legacy systems no longer a strategic investment? And how do vendors signal that at this point?
So the legacy systems, especially if you're on an on-prem version, these software providers are not investing any new functionality in that. So the big push is on to, again, these top tier that we mentioned, as well as the cloud solutions out there. That's where all these software solution providers are investing. So even if you're able to get through a month-end close, you're losing the capabilities of AI. You're losing the capabilities of the system working for your organization versus your organization taking manual, workarounds to get what these newer systems are providing.
Mhm. And there are a lot of customers that are out there that are maybe they're stuck in their ways and they want to stay on these legacy systems. What's the risk of delaying a move off of these legacy systems?
Delay compounds risk. And what I mean by that is, we all know, companies, the leadership, private equity owned companies, they're looking for speed, transparency, and confidence in the numbers. Legacy systems, work against all three of those. So those are the three major ones that, again, as the business and market shifts, the systems and the business also has to abide by that.
So, what benefits would a company see from an EPM migration?
The most important is confidence. And again, confidence in the numbers, speed and decision making, and finance ability to support growth. Those are the majors. And as we listed out, in the past conversation was, shrinking close cycles, eliminating manual effort, the reliability on Excel, other team members building out their own op model to support as a safety net because they don't trust what is currently being provided them because of these systems.
Yeah, so you talk about the trust, like these legacy systems aren't really trustworthy. Is that something that's been around since they came out, or is it more of a because of the new stuff that is coming out, there's less of a trust in these older systems that aren't getting updated?
Yeah, again, these systems worked, 10 plus years ago. But
Mhm.
as, the new demand, as, market shifts and the business transforms, the system also has to follow, and they haven't. And dating back to these legacy systems, most of these software, providers are not going to reinvest into the legacy systems. They're looking on how do they come up with the new systems, the 2.0 versions that are going to support not just the current business issues, but also 3 to 5 year plan out.
Right. So if we're talking about a roadmap here, that maybe some of these customers are actually thinking about making the switch and upgrading to the new systems and getting off the legacy systems. What would a roadmap look like from the assessment to a go live for companies moving in this way?
Yeah, that's great. Here at ERP Suites, what we're going to do is we're not going to focus first on technology. It's focused first on the business, understanding where their current business is, what their future growth model looks like, and then going about, okay, let's then do the assessment, their current state pain points, then the visionary piece of that, of where they want to go. And there's some dependencies around that, their current tech stack, talking about their ERPs, their cloud, their data strategies. We want to align with that because we don't want to overcomplex the situation by adding another, spot of a system that's going to be a targeted system from these other, ERPs, etc. And then we do the, normal of a project methodology where you do the design, build, test, data transformation, and then as well as, the go live and then the stabilization.
Yeah. So the stabilization, that's something that ERP suites, at least the people that we've had on this podcast, they really do focus on. It's never the go live is not the goal, it's the 6 months after. So how do you ensure the long-term success post implementation?
So that's a great question. And long-term success is treating the EPM as a platform and not a project. Projects is okay, you go live and you're done. As a
Mhm.
platform, you want to, and again, if we're looking at companies that are doing a lot of M&A activity, we want to be able to scale. We want to build data models, dimensionalities that fit a model of being easy to integrate as well as carve out. So those are the kind of things that, we look at from an advisory as well as a managed services is, again, as finance doesn't stay still, neither should your EPM product. And what we want to do is give back to the internal resources where they could be more strategic, doing more strategic initiatives and focus on analyzing the data versus worrying about getting the data in. And that's where we come in to be an extension of their organization with a white glove approach to, give them back those hours that they can concentrate on how to run their business.
Right. So you're giving back the hours when we're talking about the managed services, or is that maybe something a little bit deeper there?
It is in the sense of more aligning them to strategic initiatives that the leadership or private equity may have for them, if it's M&A activities, et cetera, versus keeping the lights on the daily operations of running a EPM platform.
Right. So it's more
So it's
focused on the
really
business side.
redirecting it.
Okay. So it's more focused on the business side, trying to build up others, or maybe like a partnership. Some would consider this, right?
Correct. And the
Okay.
way we look at it, when we hear partnerships, I'm big with, especially in my past, and I know this is how we support across ERP suites with other services that we offer. It's more of being a true extension to their organization.
Okay. Interesting. So how would you choose the right modern EPM platform?
Great question. Again, we don't lead with the software driving. It's more of what the business needs and what makes the most sense for each specific client or prospect. What we do is we can be lockstep with you on that journey to really, evaluate because we have all great relationships with the top tier service provider, I mean, solution providers that, we will walk you through, put a decision criteria to make the best decision for that specific business need to help you not just solve what your current reporting pain points are, but your growth model 3 to 5 year plan out.
Right. And when we're talking about these people making this decision, what would be the correct way of thinking about, all right, maybe my company should move to Oracle EPM Cloud, or maybe my company should move to OneStream? What's the difference there that a company should be thinking about in terms of best fit?
So, both of those products are top tier, great at what they do provide. But they do have two different philosophies. And what I mean by that is Oracle is built on if you already have a lot of Oracle ecosystem in
Mhm.
there. If you're using ERPs that JD Edwards or Oracle EBS, leveraging their cloud solution OCI, it's easier to integrate. So it's a great
Right.
product and they will scale together as the ERP, as their cloud, as well as their EPM and reporting platforms. Now, OneStream, again, is just solely on providing EPM solutions. So they can connect into any ERP, any cloud solution. So it's more of a one-off that attaches to any business need in that sense. But again, it's not about the products. They both are phenomenal products out in the marketplace. It's more again of analyzing what is best for your, technology stack of
Mm.
and what your future goals of your data strategy, your cloud strategy, as well as how your business is looking to evolve in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right. So if someone's on JD Edwards now, maybe Oracle EPM Cloud would make the most sense for them just because of the flexibility that you can have in terms of using that in your ecosystem. But maybe someone that's looking to shift their JD Edwards and maybe go to a different ERP planning system, then maybe they would choose a OneStream. Am I right in that?
Yeah, sort of. Again, the OneStream can tap
Okay.
in. The two critical things
Mm.
as they're going, if I'm a CFO and a CIO, the things that I would be listening and really gearing in towards is integration. So again, there's a lot, these top tiers will have direct connects into your top tier ERP systems. Again, it's easier on Oracle's platform if you're staying Oracle
Mm.
just because it's, they integrate seamlessly. But the questions then become, to a CFO or CIO, and here's the decision criteria that we would put together would be meaning, the integration points. Do you want it native or do you want it custom? That will
Right.
cause data latency. So these are the kind of questions that we will bring to the table to, again, to ensure that, again, we're not picking the wrong solution from a software perspective. We're figuring out what's the best fit moving forward on a business growth, model.
Mhm. So if we're talking about going custom versus maybe like again, an easy native integration there, would one be more expensive than the other to implement because it's custom versus native, or would it be around the same?
It would be the same from a cost on an implementation perspective,
Okay.
but where the challenge will be is again, their standalone kind of solutions. So that, brings the risk of, reconciliation issues.
Mm.
Again, resource of that specific, whatever the custom integration is, versus a native that comes right out of the box. And then as well as, data latency. So those are the key areas, to look at when, again, it's not on a similar full stack solution provided by that software provider.
Right. So you bring up latency, but what's maybe a different benefit of having a single unified platform versus stitching together multiple tools?
So from a CFO perspective, it's one source of truth, and that's big. So again, you don't have these point solutions where you're trying to solve. And again, there's products that, solution providers are top tier versus having this unified approach. When you have a unified approach, it's doing all the functionality that a CFO is looking for. And that goes from, consolidations, from budgeting, planning, forecasting, tax provisioning, accounts reconciliation. When it's in one place, it is one source of truth, and that gives, a lot of ease as a CFO is sitting there, and again, as they're looking at the numbers, it's easier to trust. With these, pointed solutions, again, it's the data trust, there's integrations, there's manual intervention. As the world is evolving, especially with AI, they're looking to minimize this stuff. So that's why if you can get that unified approach, that's the best, moving forward for the majority of the businesses that are out there.
Mhm. So it's interesting you bring up AI because if you do have AI that is consistently looking through your data and making sure that there aren't any red flags that are in it, would there still be that trust issue if you're going with like a one stream that's an outside source coming in? Or would that kind of be mitigated if you set it up correctly?
It would be mitigated. So that's why a lot of these, and again, the top tier ones, they're coming with AI, solution sets to again minimize these manual efforts. Because again,
Mhm.
in the bigger picture, what we want to be able to do is align with all these software solutions
Mhm.
that will be able to minimize those manual workarounds.
Interesting. So, say a company is on JD Edwards, but maybe they're looking to switch. Would they still have the option of going with an Oracle EPM Cloud, or when they do switch to maybe off an Oracle based ERP system, would they have to make that switch to OneStream?
No, they wouldn't. And again, it's standalone product, but
Okay.
now, as we were mentioning, where Oracle fits well is when it's their ecosystem has a lot of the
Mhm.
Oracle products. That doesn't mean that if they go in SAP that they still cannot leverage
Mhm.
Oracle EPM. But what I would do and suggest and recommend is that's a trigger to do an evaluation to see what other
Mhm.
products are out there, and again, what makes the best fit for what they're trying to accomplish business wise. But the one thing that I do want to highlight on that, as clients are looking to evolve their ERP, the
Mhm.
EPM again could be a single source that helps not only for the CFO organization, but it also exposes and helps standardize business processing. So as ERPs are moving, or you have 10 or 15 ERPs out there and you're looking to consolidate, the EPM is still a single source that could be the leading front to help minimize these issues that will come about from a
Mhm.
business processing and everything that's going on the ERP side of the house.
Interesting. So no matter which way you're truly wanting to go, it's more of you have to plan it out and make sure that it would make sense for your company instead of oh, if you choose one path, you have to go with this versus you have to go with that. Am I right in that?
Yeah, you're 100% right. And that's where the
Mhm.
advisory that we want to bring to
Yeah.
the table. We've been doing this for 20 plus years in that sense, where we want to be, as they're changing, or if it's a technology stack that's changing, or if it's their business, we are able to guide and give them the best options, with all these top tier solutions out there. And again, I'll reiterate, we have great relationships across the board with all the top tier ones. And it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
again, making it right for the business and the team and the organizations, how they shift.
All right, so not going to push one direction versus another for some unforeseen bias that's behind the scenes. Okay. If you're facing pressure to close faster, clean up your reporting, or retire legacy EPM tools like Hyperion, let's talk. ERP Suites brings advisory, implementation, and ongoing support together, purpose built for complex, enterprise scale environments. Head to ERPSuites.com to connect with our team, connect with Mike, and connect with the rest of our EPM team. Thanks for tuning in to Not Your Grandpa's JD Edwards. Huge shout out to you, Mike, for sharing how today's finance leaders are stepping beyond legacy systems like Hyperion. Like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned as we explore the tech and tactics modern enterprises are using to transform their operations. Catch you later.